Chapter 9. The piercing wail of the siren and the chaotic thrill of the arriving ambulances was enough to put anyone's mood completely on edge. Unfortunately, I wasn't the one being treated. I stood hidden in the dark brush, watching the frantic commotion with intense, glinting eyes. The macabre of mangled corpses being hauled away in body bags by the paramedics left me physically nauseous. Feeling a wave of extreme guilt and remorse, my stomach lurched forward with a violent twitch as I knelt over and vomited bile into the underbrush. My body convulsed violently as wave after wave of nausea washed over me until my entire stomach was empty, leaving me physically weak from the assault of my own body. The putrid taste and the burning sensation of bile singed my raw throat, made it dreadfully obvious that I did not have the iron stomach I thought I had. Red and blue sirens swayed rhythmically through the night, casting a chaotic glow over a team of police officers and first responders who were busy barricading the entrance to the forest with yellow caution tape. My chest tightened as I watched a team of forensic scientists carefully haul away a heavy, majestic remains of the white wolf. They loaded her into the back of a sterile silver van, treating her like a piece of clinical evidence. I blinked slowly, fighting the urge to let my raw emotions become evident. Shifting my weight, I slumped further back into the abyss of the tree line. My attention was turned back towards the road as the EMTs slammed the heavy ambulance door shut and sped off, the sirens once again shattering the tranquil night as they faded into the distance. Feeling utterly defeated, I let out a long, heavy sigh and looked at the large wolf standing beside me. His massive ears were folded tightly back against his head. His heavy gaze, lowered to the dirt, stayed a prolonged absolute sorrow. Tears diluted his crisp, golden eyes, turning them into pale, watery yellow. I could feel his pain vibrating through the air. It was a crushing, suffocating weight, the exact same way I felt when I lost my brother. Sensing the shared grief, the alpha male nudged his wet, rubbery nose directly into the crick of my arm, gently pushing until he nestled his massive head under my armpit, seeking a piece of comfort. I reached down, stroking his smooth, coarse fur, and sighed gently against the cold night air. Glancing past him, I looked at the rest of the timber wolves. They had all lowered their heads, clenching their thick tails tightly beneath their stomachs, their whimpering almost too pitiful to bear. Slowly I pursed a grieving alpha's nose out from underneath my arm and forced him to look at me, square in the eyes. He did not protest, nor did he pull away. Instead, a long, rough tongue swiped across my face, the massive beast offering a quiet sense of comfort and empathy right back towards me. Rubbering the thick, viscous slobber off my face, I stood up and walked past the alpha, but he got up and padded beside me slowly, giving a small, low bark to capture my attention. I stopped and I turned my head in utter disbelief, watching as he lowered his massive body to the ground. It was a subtle invitation, a sign of ultimate trust, that he would allow me to ride on his back, the same way the white wolf had done for me. For normal wolves, this was not natural behavior. There was a glint of deliberate recognition and above-average intelligence in his golden eyes. He remained vigilant and patient. Once mounted, I took a quick glance back, observing the remaining timber wolves behind me. Their faces were stoic and unreadable. Throwing their heads back, the wolves let out a long, obvious, grief-stricken howl into the fading night. I gently clenched the alpha's scruff as he stood up to his full towering height. I could feel his muscles shift slightly to accommodate and adjust my weight, while he let out a large stretch, its front paws firmly planting into the dirt as he raised his rear, gently shaking his pelt. The two timber wolves trailed behind us silently, as if they were entirely lost in their train of thought. As we moved, my hand clenched tightly onto the coarse fur. I gritted my teeth against the pain in my chest, a dark burning sensation overtaking my own grief. I wanted vengeance, and I wanted it now. Before long, I found myself falling asleep on the back of a large creature. As we traveled through the darkness, the freezing breeze rustled through my hair, and the rhythmic, powerful swing of his muscular body made it feel as though I were riding on a boat. The gentle, rhythmic waves of his muscles, moving beneath his coarse fur, were. As I slept, the image of a pretty white goddess that had taken the form of a white wolf challenged every aspect of my reality. In the dream, the pristine white wolf ran through the forest with impossible grace and beauty. Her snow-white coat reflected brilliantly off the rich dark mahogany of the trees. The tree line around her were smooth and glossy, a thick pelt brushing infinitely sleek past the bark as she moved like the wind through the timbers. The wolf skittered to a sudden halt, stopping near the damp bank of a river, where crystal clear waters flowed freely. High above, an owl perched quietly on the branch of a nearby olive tree. As if sensing my presence, the white wolf instantaneously turned around, looking at me. Her eyes were clear, vivid, and filled with a profound depth of emotion, an intelligence that indicated she was incredibly wise. Suddenly, her ears perked at the snapping, her head up, in the sharp direction, sensing something unforeseen was in the distance. The silent, haunting howl of a wolf echoed seemingly from nowhere. She gave a small growl of disapproval, glaring back at me one last time before bounding away into the deep forest. I tried to run after her, desperately screaming her name. But the dream began to warp. The mahogany trees began to close in on me, their trunks shifting together like a solid wall, physically pushing me out of the secret forest. Up on the branch, the owl stared down at me, ruffling its pretty feathers, before flying off into the void. A violent jolt shook me clean out of my dream. Thud. I gasped as my body landed hard on the solid ground. Groggily, I looked around in the state of mild shock, rubbing my eyes just in time to watch the fleeting massive gray shadow of the alpha wolf disappear entirely into the thick, dark underbrush. The pack was gone. I was back where I started. I looked up at the familiar porch lights, the cold morning air hitting my face. I was back at Aunt Flora's home,